Welcome back to Press Pause. I am your host, Jeff, and I'm coming in hot. I got to admit, I'm coming in hot. I'm coming in muy caliente. We will get to why when we get to what I've been playing. But for now, let's jump into some of the news from the week. All right, first up, Xbox is now offering repair and replacement parts. So whether that's the input PCBA, the top cases, the buttons for both Elite and your standard controllers. Now, this is really cool. We're seeing repairability be a focus for Microsoft going forward. Obviously, I think it's part of their good guy image that they're putting forth to governments. We know Europe is pretty hot on the right to repair right now. That's most likely coming stateside as well. Microsoft's trying to get out in front of it, I think, with a lot of these. If I had something to complain about here, it'd be the pricing. Like $20 for the replacement top shell of a controller seems a bit pricey, but just the fact that it's being offered, I think, is a great step in the right direction. Hope to see more companies follow suit in this. So if a button starts sticking, or a trigger's not working quite the way you want it to, you can hop on here, order a replacement part for $22. There's plenty of YouTube videos that'll walk you through how to fix these. So if you want, you can repair them. And I think this is good overall, right? A lot of people don't like to repair this stuff, but for a third of the price, you can fix a controller instead of buying a new one. I think you're going to see a lot more people willing to watch a how-to video and knock this out. So overall, pretty cool. All right, next up, let's talk about a game I've been very hopeful would one day come to PC and console, and that is Fantasian. This comes from Mistwalker Studio. Originally, it was put out on Apple Arcade. Hironobu Sakaguchi is behind this, the creator of Final Fantasy. This also had music from Nobu Uematsu. I always butcher that name. It was fantastic. The cool aspect of this game, not only was it the obvious art style where it's diorama backgrounds, and they actually physically built these, photograph them, and then add the characters in. Really cool look. But on top of that, some of the little tweaks to gameplay were very nice. You have this ability to curve your attacks during battle, right? To try to hit more than one enemy based on, and the different abilities can curve in different ways. Really cool. Second, the other neat thing that I think maybe was a product of being on as a mobile game through Apple Arcade, and knowing that sometimes people are very short on time when they're wanting to fire up a mobile game, you had this thing called the Dimension, which was a box, think like the Ghostbusters, like Ghostbusting box, baby. And you could pull that out and choose to just, instead of hitting your random encounters, you just trap them in the Dimension, and then you do all the random encounters at once. But the box would get full, hey, you're maxed out. You got 30 enemies in there, right? So then you just stop down, pop it open, and you go to this dimension, and you have all the random encounters you built up. You fight them all at once, where they're all just piling in behind each other, and it becomes this long, drawn out battle if you want, instead of having to do random encounter after random encounter if you're trying to do a short stint. So interested to see what people think of that outside of the mobile space. No idea when it's coming yet. What we have on that is, let's see if I can pull this up. All we've got right now is on SteamDB, it came up that a Fantasian playtest was listed last done August 2023. So this just popped up. This is cool though, I'm telling you. I don't know if this means it's coming to console, but the fact that it's coming to PC is very exciting. Very exciting. So hopefully everyone gets a chance to play this one soon. I had played through part 1. And because when they originally released it, they released part 1, and they said, part 2 is coming at a later date. And it took months. And I had sort of moved on from Apple Arcade entirely, not just this game. So I never circled back, because I kept telling myself, I'm going to circle back when part 2 drops. But I got to be honest, just even seeing this, it's kind of making me want to fire up Apple Arcade again and try to knock out part 2. I most likely would, except Sea of Stars and Starfield are right around the corner, and I don't think so, baby. Right now, it's time for cleaning up the backlog a little bit, okay? We can't be jumping into 70-hour RPGs on our phones, so hopefully this comes to PC soon. All right, announced at Final Fantasy Fest, Final Fantasy XIV, the MMO that's been out for, I guess, a decade now, is finally going to have an Xbox version. It's coming next spring, Xbox Series X and S. Phil Spencer took the stage alongside Yoshi P to announce this. Look, pretty cool. Pretty cool to see this game coming. I know, like I said, it's been 10 years of them trying to work this out. There's been rumors galore over time of why they weren't able to get this game out, what they were working on. The relationship between Square Enix and Xbox has been rumored to be strained. A lot of weird issues there. I've heard a lot of theories about why Square Enix and Xbox don't seem to work well together. No idea what's true, right? Some people say Sony is paying for exclusivity. We know that's true in certain cases, right? They paid for exclusivity with Final Fantasy VII Remake, with Final Fantasy 16. But it does seem like Square Enix just releases the most random games possible on Xbox. Because you also hear sometimes, well, it's not worth it to come to Xbox. But if it wasn't worth it for Square Enix to release some of their bigger titles that come out, like a Final Fantasy VII Remake or Final Fantasy 14 onto Xbox, then why are they releasing things like Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core Reunion? Right? Diofield Chronicles, released on Xbox, had a physical version. That's like a nothing brand new IP from Square Enix. Gets a physical version on Xbox, gets released, but then the bigger hitters miss. So there's something odd about that relationship. I think this is a good step in the right direction, but time will tell, right? It's really cool they got this MMO. They've worked for it for a long time. I'm not a big MMO player though, so I'm not as excited or interested in that. But I would like to know, what games down the line do we start to see from Square Enix? Are we going to see Octopath Traveler 2 finally join the Xbox catalog after it's gone missing, even though the first one was here, right? What about titles like, Triangle Strategy? What about Final Fantasy VII Remake, Final Fantasy 16? Let's see where this relationship leads, right? So very interesting here all around, but we won't know until I think we get further into the generation to start seeing what comes after this. I do feel like part of that is there's a lot of exclusivity and marketing rights around Final Fantasy 7 and 16 with PlayStation. They can't announce anything with Xbox. They don't have another suitably big title. They had the Final Fantasy 14 festival going on. This is a beloved game. So they could put Phil on stage for this kind of an announcement. All right, and then, I want to talk about the GameStop. The GameStop crypto wallet. I don't know if y'all were aware, GameStop tried to launch a crypto wallet. This is their beautiful website for it, where they're like, hey, look, you could manage your crypto and NFTs and decentralized apps on Ethereum. You do it through game. This is what GameStop is doing with their time. Web3 is one step away. High-speed transactions. This is what they've been doing. This is what GameStop is doing, rather than sell you games. Okay, this is what they're doing. And look up here though. What's this banner at the top? GameStop wallet support ends November 1st. Click on that. Due to the regulatory uncertainty of the crypto space, GameStop has decided to remove its iOS and Chrome extension wallets from the market on November 1st. We advise that all customers ensure that they have access to their secret passphrase by October 1st. This will give them the ability to recover their accounts in any compatible wallet. According to Yahoo Finance, currently only MetaMask and Wallet Connect are supported wallet providers, but who gives a shit? They're canceling crypto. Good. They're GameStop. This company, obviously, anyone who watches the channel knows I hate NFTs with a passion. I think they're like the Longaberger basket of millennial men. They've never made sense. I'm glad they're all dying. But the thing about it is this. What is GameStop doing? What are they doing? They're not selling games. They go into a GameStop. They have all this empty space. There's a few games on the wall. Most of them are kind of pre-owned. They don't have every game. They have less games on release than Best Buy or Target in my area. And I live in a pretty large metro. You know what I mentioned? Let's see, I've got it here. I mentioned Diofield Chronicle Physical on Xbox. All right, let's talk about this real fast. All right, I mentioned this game earlier, Diofield Chronicle Physical on Xbox. I picked it up for Xbox. Just because, like I said, it's very odd when Square Enix puts out certain games there, when most of them are going to be on the PlayStation or the Nintendo. So I did want to pick this up. I called GameStop though to see, like, hey, I know, are y'all going to have this physical on Xbox? And this came out into last year, and I called, and the guy went, I don't think so. I was like, okay, and that was the end of the interaction. He was ready to get off the phone. I don't know, why didn't you look? But anyway, so I went to Target, just local Target, found it physical. They had it for every system, physical at Target. Target isn't a game store. It gets a short half aisle. It doesn't even get both sides of the aisle. It shares an aisle with Nintendo at my Target. So you've got like just this small packed little Xbox section. They had this game on release. GameStop? No. I went to GameStop and wanted to check it, wanted to look and see, well, they're going to have it for like PlayStation or Nintendo. No, GameStop didn't carry this title physical at all. But Best Buy and Target do. Walmart did. What is GameStop doing? They should have, I firmly believe GameStop should have every physical release at least the month it launches. Why wouldn't they? You should have every release. I would do so much different. GameStop's always empty. It's full of stuffed animals and cringy t-shirts, and like they have my local GameStop. I was in there the other day. We only go because I'm a pro member. I'm still a pro member. My thing hasn't expired yet, and we've been using it to get my fiance bag clips once a month with a free $5 because she's on this bag clip collecting trip. But we go in and they have like one monitor for sale and like one type of keyboard and a handful of games, and it's mainly like stuffed animals and crap, and it's like all this empty floor space. If I were, why aren't they? You know, they sell retro games online, and a lot of times they're in bad condition, but sometimes you get some good ones out of GameStop. I've gotten some decent ones ordered online, but why don't they have a nice retro section in all this empty floor space they seem to have? Just, I would set up a retro section. I'd have retro games of all kinds from whatever catalog I have from my GameStop warehouse, and every like 45 days or every quarter, I'd have every GameStop store just box up 30-40% of the retro shit on that shelf and send it to a different GameStop to keep the stock like rotating. Constant retro games, right? Why don't you have Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter and Guilty Gear fighting contest? You know, winner gets I don't know, like a DualSense controller. Like, why aren't they doing like game stuff, man? Why are they ending support on a crypto wallet and not? I don't know. This GameStop blows my mind because there's really no game company like it, and they just don't seem to understand that like you could get people back in your store. Why don't you sell PC parts? Why don't you have a whole corner that's like a mini Micro Center and you're selling graphics cards? Why aren't you? I just don't. It blows my mind, man. You go into these stores and it's like, what is GameStop doing? I told you I was coming in hot, and it wasn't about GameStop. It was about what I've been playing. So let's get into that next. Okay, what I've been playing. So I've been playing Remnant 2. Really enjoying it. I mostly been playing single player. Got the chance to play one night with a few buddies. Gotta be honest, we were playing on Xbox, and we were having some connection issues where we'd get 20-30 minutes in, one of us would get kicked. And we had decent connections. Two of us are on NAT type open, one's on NAT type moderate. A little more rural. But we shouldn't be having those issues. We don't have those issues as far as other games generally. Every now and then, yes, things happen, but a little frustrating with how difficult it was for us to get into the match together and then not be able to hold that connection. But overall, the game's a blast. I'm hoping that those kind of things get ironed out. But overall, really enjoying the game, really liking it. And I was not a big fan of Remnant 1. I thought it was a little janky. I didn't love the boss designs as far as like the encounter designs. The bosses looked cool, but the way the encounters were laid out, some of the levels, the way ads spawned in, I didn't love all of that in Remnant 1. I put about 20 hours in it and bounced. It was like, that's enough for me. My buddies had really loved it, so they dragged me back into Remnant 2, and I'm digging it a lot more this time. I think they've definitely cleaned up the shooting. I fought 2 bosses now in Yesha, I think is the world I'm in, because it's a procedural generation, so you're spawning in the different worlds. You might have a totally different experience than me, but I started in Yesha, enjoying that so far. I did manage to like almost rage quit on my first boss, the Mind Mother, but had a glass of water, took a deep breath, went back, beat her, moved forward, and I was like, yeah, this is a Souls-like. Like it got me hot. But what's really got me hot today, what I just put down before recording this, I've circled back to Nier Automata. If you watch this channel, you know a while back I was playing it. I kind of fell off it and started grabbing newer games coming out. I wanted to try and knock it out, but Zelda came out and some other stuff just pulled me off. But I'm like, okay, I've reached this point now where I'm playing a few games like Remnant that I kind of want to hold more for multiplayer with the boys. And so I'm trying to clean up some of my backlog stuff that I just put down for whatever reason, but wanted to get back to before games like Sea of Stars and Starfield drop, and Spider-Man, Alan Wake. I mean, the fall's going to be insane. So trying to tuck in the corners there. Nier Automata, so far the story, I swear it's like a 9 out of 10. I'm really enjoying it. The gameplay, I really like it. I do. It's good, but there's just some time. I'm at this boss. Weird Machine, I think is the level I'm on. I feel like I'm right near like an end point. I know there's multiple endings, but I've already gotten one. I got one joke ending. But I feel like I'm right at this like climactic part. And this boss is this, I've already fought a type like this, but now it's electric. And I don't know, I must have tried it 7-8 times. I'm getting my ass handed to me by this thing. I get it down to this end stage where it's this ball, and it's like I can't close and do damage. Range does no damage. I'm hot under the collar about it. I'm getting real frustrated, and so I was like, all right, I gotta turn the game off. I better just do the show. I better just do press pause because I need a break. I was raging. I pulled the glasses off. You know, if you're a gamer who wears glasses, you know you're raging when the glasses come off. You gotta like get a deep breath. So I was like, all right, I gotta take a break here. But I really am enjoying that game, Nier Automata. But yeah, I don't know, this boss just, because I hadn't encountered that yet. I was speeding through this thing. Maybe I'd fight a boss and I'd die, come back, but not a ton of deaths. What? Maybe once I'd die once, maybe to a boss, or not at all. But this one is all of a sudden stomping me. I don't know what's going on. I don't like it. All right, let's get back to the news from PC Gamer. This tweet popped up this week. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart is great on PC, but at $60 for a 10-hour story, it's not as easy to recommend as we'd like. Jumping into the story here. They give it an 80. And, you know, I'm not going to go over the whole article. I want to get across the point they make. Basically, the point they make is it's a fun story. It looks great. It plays pretty well. It's not really challenging or anything, but it really only took them like 10 to 15 hours to finish. And their point is, as a launch title on PS5, it made a lot of sense. It was worth the premium price. But on PC, they're arguing that for such a short amount of time, and when it's not a launch title, it's not, you know, this game is a couple years old at this point. They're making this point, it's probably not worth 60 because of the amount of time. They got a lot of backlash online about this. People are pretty mad. Hey, you shouldn't judge a game based on time. It's about the, you know, the value of the experience, not about the length of the experience. And I agree and I disagree. And I think it's nuanced, and I think cost does matter on these things, and I think also time matters. I think there's like two opposing forces here, right? There's the idea that games should be treated as art, which I agree with. Games should be treated as art. But I think there is a price discussion. I think that has just as much, maybe not weight in as far as like how you review the thing as far as like a great piece of art, but I do think price does matter. So if somebody, a reviewer, does want to say, you know, and this is what they said, it's a great game, it's just not, I don't think it's worth $60, and that's an honest thing to say. And so I think when people jump down this reviewers' throat about it a little bit, I think it's a little uncalled for. The idea that reviewers should be above mentioning price or letting price factor into their recommendations or not. The truth is, not everybody wants to blow money on this kind of stuff, and for some people, if they're only going to buy one game that month, they want to buy a game that's going to stretch out over time, and you know, it's going to make sense for them. So I do think that there's something to be said for that. At the same time, you don't want video games to end up being this like just a pure commodity, right? Is it worth the dollar, right? Is there like a $1 per hour value or whatever? You still want it to be seen as art. So I do think there's a mix here. There's a little bit of a nuance where I think price, how to say this? I think price and length should be mentioned in a review, but I don't think it necessarily needs to. It doesn't necessarily need to sway or decide whether or not you recommend the game. But if it does, it does, right? Like there shouldn't be one standard for reviewing. Some people are going to go to reviewers that bring up price, and that's fine. And if you disagree with it, use a different reviewer. But this idea of policing what reviewers can and can't say, like, oh, you shouldn't even, the discussion shouldn't even be about price. Don't make it about price then. Like, you don't talk about price then. But if PC Gamer wants to run this where they're going to say, hey, we don't think it's worth the price, there you go. Like, let them say it and let the people who get value out of that get the value. I don't know. I don't think we should be policing how reviewers review. Let them review however they want, and then people can decide if they want to, believe those reviewers or not. There's got to be a little bit of a sink or swim mentality for some of these review sites. Furthermore, I got to say, to me, part of this discussion, and it's not exactly spelled out in the article, and maybe I'm reading into it, but it seems to me like this conversation wouldn't be happening if this was a day and date release. And that a little bit, some of these PC-centric review sites are going to look at this as like, oh, it's an old PlayStation game. Even though it's only 2 years old, it's not the fresh, new, exciting. Like, this game already had its time to shine in like reviews and in the media, as far, and now it's getting like a second wind on PC. And maybe the idea is that, hey, if this had come out in 21 right away, it would have been pretty cutting edge. We wouldn't have felt the same way it does now, where it's like, oh, here's like it's almost like getting a hand-me-down game. So I think that plays a role in it as well in this discussion. You don't see this as much with, something like coming from Xbox, where it's day and date, or a much older PlayStation title that gets ported, because then it's like, finally, it's exciting again. But with this only being a 2-year gap, I don't know. I think that might not be the right time frame. I think PlayStation might need to either be quicker about porting to PC, or take longer. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but I think that this 2-year period has people kind of be like, oh, it's kind of like a late game, like it's old. Whereas when they finally ported some of their other games over, I don't know. Or maybe it is just the audience. I'm rambling here now, but maybe it is just the audience. Do like PC gamers tend to maybe want longer experiences? Because I feel like it is just short game for PlayStation, but 40, 50 hours is long for a PlayStation first party game. Something like Days Gone or Ghost of Tsushima, where you can get up there. I feel like things like, like Last of Us, Uncharted, Spider-Man, those tend to not run quite as long. So I don't know. Interesting thing. I think a lot of people are like drawing battle lines on this. But to me, like I said, I think there's room for discussion on this for sure. All right, and then let's cut over here to a new announcement from Discord. You're going to be able to stream games directly to Discord from your Xbox. This is coming out to the Insiders program, but it will shortly roll out to all users, hopefully. This is pretty awesome. This is really nice. If you previously wanted to do that, you would need like a capture card or a way to capture your screen to pull it over. Something you've been able to do on PC for a while now, obviously, but this is going to be really cool. It's a great way to be able to broadcast your stream privately. Like if you just want to let some friends watch what you're playing, or you want to kind of show something off, or hey, check out this move. I think this is a really nice integration here. And I do think, Discord is kind of leading the charge in a lot of ways of like integrating cross-platform play, right? If you want to play with someone on PlayStation or someone on PC, Discord voice chat coming to the consoles was a huge boon. I think this is only going to be a positive. Very excited about this. I have streamed an Xbox to Discord before and, had to go through like an Elgato capture card and all that, pull up a program for it. So excited to see this roll out here and hopefully get some good use out of it. Yeah, I think Discord keeps on doing cool integration stuff here on the consoles. Hopefully the next Nintendo, when they bring out this Super Switch 2 or whatever it's going to be, I'd like to see some Discord integration there, because if anybody needs help with their like voice chat and like online integration, it is Nintendo. All right, and that's this week on the news. We made it, guys. We did it. You hung in there. You knocked it out. Real proud of you. Thanks for sticking around. If you made it here, please like and subscribe. Really helps kind of spread the word on this channel, get the news from the villain's perspective out to a few more people. So always appreciate that. But thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week for another episode of Press Pause, where we go over the coming week's news. And also, I got a couple of projects in the works. If you've checked out any of my other videos, I like to do some more, I guess, long form discussions on certain topics. Working on a few around the what's coming next for Game Pass. That'll be coming out soon. But, you know, on this video or those videos, you know, if you see something you don't think I'm covering or a subject in gaming, let me know. You know, I'd love to hear what you think I missed, as well as I'd love to hear your thoughts on what we talked about here. You know, if you have a differing opinion, I'd love to hear that. Or if you just want to say that I'm totally correct and incredibly charismatic and smart and unbelievably handsome, I'd love to hear that too. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, and catch you next week.